Civic Math, Pennsylvania, Part 1, A Colony Divided. In our last episode, Delaware made a decision. They said yes to independence quickly, clearly, and decisively. So Delaware was a yes, but not every colony was Delaware. Now we move to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania was a question mark. Because in Pennsylvania, the answer wasn't obvious. Pennsylvania residents who wanted independence were 60%, or 180,000 people. Pennsylvania residents who did not want independence wanted to stay with Britain. 40%, or 120,000 people. That was pretty close. So 60% independence, 40% stay with Britain. Some people wanted it, others didn't want it. Now here's the question. If 60% yes said yes, is that enough to decide for everyone? A majority can make a decision, but it doesn't mean everyone agrees. Let's not forget that location is equal power. Pennsylvania wasn't just another colony. It sat in the middle, connecting the North and the South. It had access to trade through the Delaware River. If Pennsylvania moves, everything moves. The equation is economy is equal to trade plus agriculture. Agriculture. Pennsylvania had one of the strongest economies in North America. Farmers produced food, merchants moved the goods, ships connected Pennsylvania to the world. So the merchants had a big risk in choosing independence. They risk losing British trade. If they stay loyal, they risk losing control of their future. For merchants, this wasn't politics. This was math. Let's talk about media and influence. Ideas in 1776 did not spread through social media. They spread through print. One of the most influential newspapers at that time was the Pennsylvania Gazette. It was shaped by none other than Benjamin Franklin, a printer, a thinker, and an influencer. Information was passed on to people. People made opinions. Opinions shaped decisions. People didn't just read the news, they formed opinion from it. Newspapers, pamphlets, debates. Every argument for independence and every argument against it was being read, discussed, and challenged. In Pennsylvania, the battle wasn't just on the ground, it was on paper as well. Let's talk a little bit about the population and leadership. Pennsylvania had about in let's say April of 1776 had a population about 300,000 people. Okay. They were made by a small group, but decisions were not made by all 300,000 people. They were made by a small group of influential leaders. 300,000 people, few decisions makers. Of those influential leaders were again none other than Benjamin Franklin. Not a lot need to be said about it. He was a thinker, he was a diplomat, he was a connector. He leaned heavily toward independence. So Benjamin Franklin was for independence. The second leader we are going to address is going to be John Dickinson. He was more careful, very strategic. He did not want to rush for independence. The third gentleman that we are going to talk that was a key decision maker in Pennsylvania at that time was John Morton. When the colony was divided, John Morton vote helped tip the balance. So let's say John was for independence. Okay. So from 300,000 people, the decision was left to 3 to 5 key voices. Again, let's re-emphasize a little bit how and where Pennsylvania stood at that time during colonial time. Colonial America had about 2.5 million people. Pennsylvania alone had 300,000 people. So that was roughly about 12% of colonial America. So Pennsylvania alone had 12% of colonial America. It was not large enough to emphasize how Pennsylvania was important, because let's factor in modern America. California is about maybe 9 to 10% of the US population, but Pennsylvania was 12%. So that tells you how powerful Pennsylvania was. So that means big colony plus a strong economy plus powerful voices plus a divided people equal to question marks. This is Pennsylvania in 1776. So strong, again, big colony, strong economy, powerful voices, and a divided people. But again, a lot of question marks because this is in Pennsylvania was powerful and it was important and it was divided. So the question is, if a colony as important as Pennsylvania, which was 12% of the population, colonial America at that time, can't agree, how do they decide? Because in Pennsylvania, the decision hasn't been made yet. If you'd like to know what happened next, please follow us in part 2. If you like this video, share it with one person, and we'll see you next time in part 2.